There have been several arbitrary milestones along the way of my author journey that I've really enjoyed. Like the first time I got that orange bestseller sticker on one of my books, when I signed with an agent, when I had my first book signing because a book club read my book and purchased a whole group of them, when I got to post my first publisher's marketplace announcement. Those were big moments. And this is another one. Getting professional headshots just feels like a moment. There were a lot of logistics that went into this. I'm going to share my experience and tips in this video. Oh, and you get to see the photos. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm MK. I'm an author and I love sharing my insights about all things books and publishing with you. Before I get into the topic, please don't forget to hit subscribe. You'll be notified every week when I put out new videos about publishing, making a career to being an author, and now being a mompreneur. Now, I would say this video would be for any author, aspiring author, because whether you're self-publishing or traditional publishing, eventually a nice headshot is going to be in order. Now, my evolution of headshots as an author has kind of been all or nothing, in that it was all DIY or it was going to be professionally done. And I've always had the mindset of I'm not going to invest in something until I have the royalties behind it, until I have the money in hand. So it was always an incentive for me to work harder, market my books harder to get that money to be able to do the next thing. When Nailbiters first came out in 2015, my husband had an iPhone 3, an iPhone 6, a very early model. And iPhones do take good photos, and I had no money to invest at that point in professional photo shoot. So he took my photo. I just relaxed on our couch. I put a black and white filter on it and called it a day. And it was okay. Then when Enemies of Peace came out, he took a photo of me holding it. And then one when I did that book signing, and I'm smiling big in that photo, and it's a good photo. But Enemies of Peace is not a happy, smiley book. So there was maybe a bit of didn't really match the expectations of what you were getting. And then when I did go full-time as an author and coach, which was another big milestone in 2019, I asked my husband to use his iPhone again. And I had a very corporate, coach looking headshot for Author Your Ambition. And then in very early 2020, before all the things happened, we did an impromptu photo shoot of just pictures I could use on social media. Again, that super handy iPhone really helping out. And just bookish, me doing bookish things, reading a book, writing in a journal, and things like that. I used one of those photos for my headshot as well. It's definitely more of a fiction look. And if you can notice in the background of this, you can see that I'm standing in front of a bookshelf. There's lots of books behind me. So it's technically kind of a problem. So not only are these images not the high quality that you would need for print, but also that's all cover art behind me. So all those spines technically would need to be signed as a release or given as credit. Oop. So all of my headshots were DIY. And I think they looked fine. They improved over time. They were passable. So when I was finishing a draft of the second book I'm working on with my agent, I knew the French translation of Heifer was in progress. I had a list of questions for her. So one was, will I get to add a dedication and acknowledgements? Will there be a publisher's marketplace announcement? And do I need an updated headshot for the translation? Do I need to provide a headshot? And she told me no, yes, and nah. So the expectation was that for the translation, I probably wouldn't be asked for a print quality headshot. But she did say, it's kind of best to get a good headshot sooner rather than later, and we will need a photo release. So she sent me the release form. Now, a release is written permission from the photographer for the image to be used by another entity. So in this case, a publisher to put that image on a book. And this paper gives clear instruction of how the photographer is giving credit. So usually the release costs more money. So if you in the past go to a photographer and say, hey, I need this picture, they're like, okay, cool. Oh, I need a photo release. So okay, that's going to cost a bit more. So I did eventually know that I was going to have an advance come through for the translation. And I thought, well, I'll start to do some light research on photographers. And once that money hits my bank account, I will really go and find a photographer and get this out. But in the meantime, I can take my time, vet out options, prices, etc. So I asked my publisher about that, I think September 1st. So September 18th, I get an email saying that the French publisher would like a headshot, and did I get those done? they were not done. So I was like, okay, I do need to get them done now. And I asked when the publisher needed them by, and she said the end of the month. So if you don't know me, I am a type A perfectionist. So if I have a deadline, I'm going to meet it. Having 12 days, total days, not business days, to get this done felt stressful on me. I am easily stressed. And so I immediately asked my Instagram audience for recommendations. Only one person responded, which is crazy because I know a lot of creative entrepreneurs in the area. And so I just started racking my brain from, okay, who do I remember from this meetup or that meetup? And what kind of photography do they do? Because a lot of photographers specialize. And so some I would see that they would offer like branding, like website photography, like way more photos than I needed. Or some, they only offered like family photos or wedding photos. So hard to really find that. I just did a general search for photographers in my area, and that was the results I got. It was a whole hodgepodge. And so the branding packages sounded nice, but I did just need headshots. And so I knew what I needed. And I was like, well, I don't want to pay double or triple to get all the stuff I don't need when I'm not very good at posting on social media, versus just getting what I needed. So I whittled down a list, and I waited for an old coworker of mine to respond, because I knew she had a photography business. Apparently she closed that down. The one that was recommended to me on social media was way far away, like an hour drive away, because the greater Tampa Bay area is enormous. And I just thought like, okay, there has to be somebody closer. So finally I did a search for studios, like headshot studios, photo studios. And there were actually a few that were available. Some were out of business, but still had the Google listings. Some were available. And then my old coworker did get back to me. She said, no, I'm not in business anymore. And I was like, all right, well, at this point, I might have to go to JCPenney portrait studio because I really need these done. But that didn't feel like it had like the gravitas needed for an author headshot. So I reached out to one of my neighbors. This is a mom I know from the local park. And I remembered that last year she had photos done and mentioned another local mom did these photos. And so at this point, I was feeling desperate. I did have time, but I was feeling the time pressure because I was like, the photos like don't need to be done that day. They need to be like edited, and we pick through them, and there's Photoshop, and there's like all the things that have to happen. So I was like feeling that pressure. And so this mom got back to me and said, oh yeah, like this is the photographer. And I clicked on her website and opened it, and I was like, oh, I know exactly who that is. Because I had also seen her at the park. I just didn't know she was a photographer. And so it was great. So she said she had availability for that weekend. I could literally meet her less than a mile from my home. It was the perfect balance. And so she was able to do more than just standard headshots. So I would get a few more images, but not like an overabundance of images that I would not know what to do with. So my takeaways here are: early, give yourself time. Don't stress, because there probably are a lot of photographers in your area, and chances are you're going to have more options than you need and have to whittle down than not enough options. Turn over a lot of stones. There are a lot of photographers out there, and you're going to find one who meets your budget, your aesthetic, and your needs. It just takes some searching. I will say just doing a Google search, like searching for headshot studio or photo studio, yielded me better results than just photographer, because that was too broad. So now it was time. I found my photographer. I got glammed up. I picked out several outfits, just not sure which would work best. I brought a bag of my books. I was like, I don't know if we need props, but I brought props just in case we didn't use them. I had different outfits. I had my makeup bag. I had my hairbrush. So I wanted to be as ready as possible. We ended up doing 3 different outfits. She had like different chairs I could sit in, like in a studio setting. And then we did like some outside shoots as well. So I'm really excited to share the photos with you. So now you can see them. Okay, so that was my experience getting headshots. I am really, really excited to have this done and get it off to my publisher in time. And I am also excited just to have these. It feels like that next like official author accolade. Like I have official headshots. So I'll be updating these on my website and social media. Reminder, follow me on social media because you'll see things first there, because it takes a while to edit these videos. If you're in the greater Tampa or St. Pete area and you're looking for a photographer who can do family photography or a headshot branding session like I did, definitely reach out to Kirsten Davey. She was amazing to work with, and she had a great price and value for everything that she offered. What questions do you have about the process? What questions do you have about different aspects of being an author? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. I literally mine these comments for ideas for my next videos. If you found this information helpful or you just like my photos, you can definitely give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, or hit that thanks button below. That tells YouTube that you got value from this information, and then they can get it in front of other authors like us. Now you can get back to writing your book.